Probably one of the best-known airlines globally, Dubai-based Emirates is most often associated with luxury, quality service, and the Airbus A380. As a group, however, the company is much more than just an airline. In fact, the Emirates Group includes everything from flight training to hotel services, as well as the group of companies operating under the Donata brand, which sees everything from ground handling and cargo services to catering. So, for today's video, we take a look at just how big the Emirates Group is and how profitable it was for its most recent fiscal year. One little note before we begin. All of this is based on Emirates' most recent annual report, which was issued in May 2024. There are a lot of numbers thrown around, but we hope that these figures can sufficiently demonstrate the incredible size and scale of Emirates' activities. We start off with everything under the brand name of Emirates. It's a little confusing because these companies fall under the larger Emirates Group, which oversees Donata. Nonetheless, here is what we have. You can see that in addition to its air transportation services, dozens of companies are either wholly or partially owned by Emirates. Of particular interest, we see that Emirates has a 50% share of two flight training companies, CAE Flight Training in the UAE and CAE Middle East Pilot Services of the UAE. For Emirates Catering Services, it acquired 100% of Bustanica in February 2024, which is known as the world's largest indoor vertical farm located near Dubai World Central. Emirates also has a 65% share of the company Kosher Arabia, which is the UAE's first major kosher kitchen producing food for the travel and hotel industries, among others. The diversity continues as Emirates owns various retail and hotel operations, not just in the UAE but also in countries like Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, the United States, and more. Believe it or not, the Donata side is even more diverse. For Donata Airport operations, we have various subsidiary companies focused on cleaning, ground handling, cargo, baggage delivery, and more. Interestingly, these companies exist far, far away from the Emirates Group home in Dubai. In fact, these Donata subsidiary companies are located in countries like Australia, the Philippines, the Netherlands, Germany, Canada, and the United States. Donata's catering and retail divisions include various subsidiary companies operating under other names such as Alpha Flight US and En Route Belgium. Again, these companies are scattered around the world across various continents. Finally, it appears that Donata has its own travel services division which looks to offer travel booking and management services, everything from luxury holiday packages with the UK-based Travel Bag to cruise packages sold by the company Imagine Cruising. Again, all of these subsidiaries are under Donata, which itself is part of the broader Emirates Group. And so, even if you aren't flying on an Emirates aircraft, you might just be stepping on board an aircraft that was handled and catered by a company belonging to the Emirates Group. This whole operation is reminiscent of the incredible scope of Germany's Lufthansa Group, which itself has subsidiaries dealing with logistics and MRO, as well as aviation training and aviation IT solutions. So, how much money do all of these operations bring in? Well, in this video, let's focus mainly on Emirates' air transport activities. For its last fiscal year, the passenger airline division alone brought in more than $27 billion in revenue. It is by far Emirates' highest revenue-generating division. Its cargo division brought in about $3.5 billion over the same period. In total, 84% of Emirates' revenue came from passenger transport, 11% from cargo, and 5% from non-transport business. Geographically, Emirates reported that Europe generated the most revenue at 31%. East Asia and Australasia accounted for 27%, and numbers get even smaller for other regions of the world. Of course, we all know the airline business is incredibly expensive, and so when it comes to operating costs such as jet fuel, maintenance, salaries, and more, Emirates spent a little more than $27.5 billion for the year. One fun and interesting fact is that the airline spent the equivalent of $760 million on overflying, the cost of passing through foreign airspace. The airline says that jet fuel costs represented its largest spend, forming 33% of its total costs. The carrier adds that employee costs went up 20%. This was primarily due to an increase in staff strength as operations ramped up. To manage higher demand for staff, recruitment efforts intensified, leading to an increase of 13% in employee numbers. Speaking of employees, the carrier reported that it had 21,690 cabin crew, a little over 4,000 flight deck crew, and over 6,200 in its engineering department. When adding other people, including those at overseas stations, Emirates employs 63,466 people. And when such costs are factored in, the profit margin for Emirates isn't as big as it would initially seem. However, other business segments helped boost the overall profit margin. And so, for Emirates, profits before income tax, when factoring in all of its subsidiary companies, it ended up posting a profit of about $4.5 billion. The specific number changes depending on the currency exchange rate. Percentage-wise, Emirates posted an operating profit margin of 14.2%. Impressive. Its annual report notes that the airline's overall load factor for the year was 65.3%, while its break-even load factor was 55.1%. Overall activity has yet to reach pre-pandemic levels. In fact, when examining available seat kilometres, the airline had over 367 billion, while its most recent fiscal year ended with about 344 billion. Pre-pandemic, Emirates had 56.2 million passengers, while it was a little under 52 million for the past year. Nonetheless, everything is headed in the right direction as passenger numbers, available seat kilometres, aircraft departures and other metrics have improved year after year since the pandemic. And finally, when adding Donata's overall profit of about $380 million, the Emirates Group reported best ever financial performance with a record profit of 18.7 billion United Arab Emirate dirhams, equivalent to about $5.1 billion. Things are clearly moving in the right direction in a big way as profit was up 71% from the previous year. So, we hope this video has given you a general sense of just how much activity takes place within the broader Emirates Group, as well as just how much money is flowing in and out to sustain and grow its operations. It's definitely much more than just an airline, but it's also clear that the airline provides a massive portion of the group's revenue. Call us a little biased, but it's also the most interesting part of the Emirates Group as well. So, what do you think of the Emirates Group and its most recent financial performance? Were there any surprises for you? Let us know by leaving a comment. Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles every week. If you're looking for the latest aviation news and insights, visit simpleflying.com.